What's up, YouTube? Capital G here. The finals of the Vape Nation Invitationals pits Monarchs versus Different Dimension Demons. A lot of people thought it would be Cosmos and Burning Abyss dominating this tournament. Surprise! Actually, it's DDDs, dude. I'm telling you, when DDDs are at full power, they're quite a good deck. Like, especially, you know, when you have a capable side deck, because the deck can go off. We've proven that. The deck can go seriously off, you know what I mean, against most decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! I like the fact that you can gain life points in DDDs, which a lot of decks can't gain life points. So you see Collation at the top, the Cosmos at the bottom. Don't let that name fool you. He does not play Cosmos, or at least he didn't in this tournament. He played Monarchs, and you can see he doesn't have an extra deck, so it has to be Domain Monarchs. So Collation opens up with Kepler, then he gets the Rhoda contract, and he searches out Red Slime. At that point, I kind of assumed he had Green Slime in his hand because he needs to get his Red Slime to the graveyard to make use of it. Or he can just use that. He can use the Swamp King Covenant. So he does. He goes into Joan of Arc. This isn't really a strong play, by the way. Yeah, this isn't like... Joan of Arc is a very good monster. I like that she gives you life points, and she's got really good stats, but... this isn't the strongest turn one play. You guys have seen the strong turn one plays that DDDs can do, where you've got like Titanic Galaxy and you've got, you know, like Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon and Siegfried, and your opponent can't basically play Yu-Gi-Oh! If you back it with like a Vanities or a Solemn, they super duper can't play Yu-Gi-Oh! All right, so we got a Rhoda that searches for Edea, and you know, this field is actually very crackable with like an Erebus Edea play. Especially if he had like Pantheism. So he plays Domain. Now he triggers Edea. Maxi is played from Collation. I don't think Maxi's ever really been that great against Monarchs, even back to the Fraud Monarch days, because it's like you generally just get a 1-for-1, whether you chain it to Prime, Edea, or Aether. It's just one special, and Monarchs don't have to commit to a whole bunch of special summons because, you know, they're a normal summon deck, and they can generally get more normal summons from things like, you know, like from IDOS and whatnot. So he reduces his Erebus to 6. Unfortunately, it falls into Solemn. This is really, really bad for Monarchs. I say that because his field is pretty much exposed now. He doesn't really have much of a field. And the 2,000 light points that Collation paid for Solemn is completely inconsequential, because when the Covenant cards try and burn him for 2,000, he's just going to gain that life points back. You know what I mean? So he's going to end up getting 2,000. You know what I mean? So he goes into draw phase, he gains the 2,000 life points back, and you know, he's in pretty good shape now. All he has to do is work through this Edea. Now, had that Erebus resolved, I think he would have lost, because not only would he probably lost his Joan, but he would have probably lost one of his Covenants, and he'd be under domain lock. So that would just be terrible. And Cosmos would have probably sent the Pantheism to the grave and then had like a Prime too. So it just would have been a really bad spot for him to be in. So you see, I think he searches for Copernicus, but he doesn't want it. He decides to get something different. Yeah, he searches for Copernicus. He's like, nah, I don't really want that. I want Ragnarok. Now, whenever somebody gets Ragnarok off of a contract, you know that they're going for a big play, because Ragnarok is all about those special summons. So he puts Ragnarok in his pin zone, and now he's activating Swamp again. So he banishes his Red Slime, and he gives up Thomas. And I don't know if he's bringing out another Joan here or what. He might bring out another Joan. He might. Okay, so he does. He does bring out a second Joan. So he brings out a second Joan of Arc, and then he's going to activate Ragnarok's effect. He's going to gain that 1,000 life points because, you know, Joan's on the field. And now what I understand is the Joans don't stack. So you don't get to gain 1,000 life points twice. Then he gets Salvin Thomas, and then he gets Ragnarok in addition to that. I don't think he has a graveyard, but at this point he goes into battle phase. Now Cosmos is at 8,000 life points, but that's a lot of big monsters on the field. Like, it's a lot of big monsters. But I'm going to explain something in like 2 seconds that everybody realized that definitely changes the complexity of this duel. So he ends up taking 56 from the Joan of Arc because 28, and then he's like, oh man, I got OTK, Scooperino. Here's the problem with that OTK. It shouldn't have been an OTK, because when you use Ragnarok's pendulum effect, you only do half damage for the rest of the turn. You only do half battle damage. So the Cosmos should have technically still been in the duel, but you know, a lot of people still aren't familiar with DDDs because you know no one plays them in the TCG. So we end up having a Cheetorino in the finals. So you know, we just say, you know what, man, YCS Prague rules, because no one realized it. I didn't realize it at the time. I'm commentating the match, but I didn't realize it. But yeah, dude, people have won YCS is doing a lot worse than this. So it just happens. Let's just skip to round 2 because what's it called? You guys see that they're spamming Chet in my chat. Damage was halved by Grand Shavadungo. He's another player who plays DDDs, and DDDs actually ran through Cosmos and BA and like all the top tier TCG decks to get to this final. So you know, guys, definitely don't sleep on the deck. Even if you guys are like, oh, how you gonna say that, Cap? Dude just cheated. It was incidental, accidental. There we go. It was accidental. Like I don't think Inoculation meant to cheat. And this is a 2 out of 3, so it's very difficult to win 2 out of 3 without like at least just being the better duelist in that match. I mean, granted, sometimes you get luck sack, but still. Yeah, Shatner saying YCS Prague rules, basically. YCS Prague rule tournament. All right, so Edunculation goes first. If I was the Cosmos, I wouldn't have let DDD go first. I would have tried to, you're not playing an extra deck. I would have just tried to establish domain lock and just win from that. Because I don't want to have to deal with like fucking Titanic Galaxy turn 1. No one likes dealing with that card. So he summons Red Slime and then he goes Where Art Thou to get Lamnia, I believe. Plays Ragnarok, which is kind of troll. Anytime you play Where Art Thou, that's such a troll card, in my opinion. I have no idea why I just clicked off of dueling for some music for some reason. People request troll music in my live streams. So at this point, he went Lamnia and then he went Solvent Thomas. I think he's gonna synchro for a 1 here. I didn't know what the heck he was making, but he made Formula Synchro, and I was like, people run that in DDDs because I totally didn't know that. He activates Solvent Thomas and then he pops his Ragnarok to summon another Ragnarok. And it's looking like he's going to go for a rank 8 here, which is probably going to be a Solvent. I mean, probably going to be a Titanic. Now, in the last duel, he probably would have made a Titanic in main phase 2, but he wouldn't have had game. He may have went like Draco Sack plus like maybe he would have went Draco Sack plus Titanic, which would have been a very strong field, but the Monarch player would have at least been able to live. So he goes and he flips over Mask of Restrict. At this point, it's basically GG. If you have Titanic Galaxy plus Mask of Restrict against Monarchs, what the fuck are they going to do? Like, really, most of your outs are going to be MSTs and Twin Twisters and stuff, but Titanic Galaxy will just absorb those. Now, on Dueling Network, you can't, they're like, it doesn't really have the mechanic to absorb, you know, a spell and trap, so you just have to, like, put a counter on it. But at this point, Monarchs just, like, you need something like Trap Eater. Trap Eater would be a complete out to this because it would get rid of Mask of Restrict, and it would give you a tribute fodder so that you could, like, tribute for Courage, you could pop the Titanic, and you could just at least play Yu-Gi-Oh! But with this, you know, at this point, having Twin Twister, not having Twin Twister probably means that you lose because you have to essentially have 2 spells of Spell and Trap Destruction at the same time to get rid of the Titanic. And then even if you do Twin Twister, it's like, at that point, what do you have left? You still have to kill you still have to kill the Titanic. You know what I mean? So he takes 2,000 damage. He should have actually taken that during his turn. So that was actually another mistake. But again, dude, people who have won YCS is doing far more than this. Maybe Edunculation was trained by her. I don't know. I'm just joking with you guys. So anyways, I'm pretty sure that at this point, Edunculation is like, I'm just gonna have to play a grind game now. I've committed to a really big 3,000 attack monster. The chances of the Cosmos summoning something bigger than this Titanic is extremely low. So yeah, pretty much this win condition is just grind him out right now. The worst thing is, even if he had Pantheism, it would actually absorb it. So it wouldn't even hit the graveyard. Pantheism would not hit the graveyard so that you could banish it. So he takes 3,000 to the face. And I think Edunculation just passes. The Formula Synchron is just sitting on the field chilling. That card's not going to do anything. But it's, you know what's kind of crazy? It'd be crazy if he drew the Mask of Restrict off of the Formula Synchron. Because he only had 2 cards. He literally only had 2 cards when he played the formula. Like he only had 2 cards in his hand after the formula draw. So, you know, if he drew the Mask of Restricted, I would say like, dude, that was so luck sack. Like seriously. So the Cosmos sets a card and Edunculation hits him with Twin Twister, discarding Green Slime. Looks like he's gonna chain Twin Twister. Well, I think he flips Stormforth and Twin Twister over. Stormforth can't use it because he's got Mask of Restrict on the field. He chains Twin Twister. He still has to pay the cost for that, but it's gonna get absorbed anyways. So at this point, you can't do anything. You know what I mean? I hate to give you guys a finals where one person can't play, but dude, this is what happened. You know what I mean? He has the double Twin Twisters, but even if he, let's say he got rid of the Mask of Restrict, where his Monarchs at? It doesn't even matter at that point. He don't have no Monarchs. So if you don't have any Monarchs, I think maybe he oversighted, but for good reason. Edunculation hit Mask of Restrict turn 1, because if you look at his opening hand, he had like an MST and double Twin Twister. Like, who wants that in their opening hand? What you want is like an Edia and some Monarchs and like a Pantheism. You always want Pantheism in your opening hand. That card is just amazing. He uses what's it called? He uses Red Slime, and then he uses Red Slime and he goes for Flame King, and then he used the Formula Synchron to actually synchro in to Siegfried. I was like, that's crazy. Now he's super dunzo. He's super dunzo. Well, when you're setting max C, you're dunzo. But now he has 2 ways to negate spells. So this is like, yo, you're just, doesn't matter what you have, you can't win. Like, Monarchs just can't win at this point. Like, that's going to negate an MST. Like, Siegfried's going to negate an MST. You just can't win. And you see he had actually 3 Twin Twisters. So, yeah, somebody oversighted like a motherfucker. And then he had a dead Pantheism. Edunculation just rolled over him, man. DDDs, tier 0, boys. So, that's the finals, guys. Thank you for watching as always.